Today is the 13th, January, and we're going to be starting our meeting. So if we can start the recording. We good, John? John, we good? Okay, it's 6:06. Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council will start off by. Would someone like to volunteer for the pledge? Thomas, thank you. Please stand.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. If you don't mind, I'd like to maybe take a moment of silence for the people who have been victimized by the wildfires, but also very importantly for all those first responders who are out there and the people who are volunteering. I hear that there's an overwhelming amount of people volunteering to just go out and help people. So if we can, moment of silence for them. Thank you. Okay, I'm not sure. Do we have any students here today that are looking for school hours? I don't see any. No hands going up. So, okay. We'll go ahead and start off with roll call.
John Barbera.
Here.
Vic Christensen here. Larry Eaton and Craig Goldfarb are both excused. Cynthia Gagne.
Here.
Gwen Henry.
Present.
Alonzo Jenkins.
Here.
Melanie LeBrac.
Here.
Kelly Miller.
Here.
Thomas Norman.
Present.
Ray Regalado.
Here.
Michael Signorelli.
Here.
Angela Sumner. Here. Chris Faye.
Here.
That's 13. So we have quorum.
Okay. All right. We have quite a few public speaking cards here, so I'm going to ask you if you can be, please, under 2 minutes per speaker, and if you can be even less than that, you will certainly be appreciated at a higher level. So we're going to start off. And I hope I got them as they were handed to me. So we're going to start off with Tony Mercandante.
And quick clarification, 12 present, not 13.
I was counting like 5 times. That's like 12.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I'm just venting due to all the fire situation recently. My name is Tony Mercadante. I live in San Pedro. My question is, does Mayor Karen Bass represent us really? I mean, Gavin Newsom doesn't seem to represent me. Have you heard of the CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act? It sounds like after 1992 it was changed to block fire prevention. You may want to research that or have Senator Richardson come here and give a presentation about it. How much tax revenue did the city of LA just lose? My friends in other states are curiously watching how government operates here. The lawsuits that will pop up against the city of LA will be more than enough to ask Mayor Karen Bass to consider resigning now. Gavin Newsom thinks we are stupid. I just don't understand how does LA really deserve to host an Olympics after something like this? Do we have a realistic plan for clean water here in regular times, let alone an emergency? Just for comparison, top NASA rocket engineers back in the 70s. They made in U.S. dollars, in today's dollars, about $300,000 a year. You know, there are people at LADWP and the LAFD fire department that are making upwards of what I've heard based on overtime, $400,000 to $800,000 a year. That's more than NASA rocket scientists make. That's more than Joe Biden makes as president. It just seems like there's something wrong. Maybe people need to delegate authority and hire more people to do the job. Or maybe it's time to look for HB1 visa holder engineers from around the world to come here and work for a reasonable amount of money that the city of LA can afford. This seems like gross mismanagement of city finances. I warned you guys a couple months ago when I was here about what happens with insurance companies when your house burns down due to arsonists. I hope you paid attention. It's time for Karen Bass to resign. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, second is Lori Jacobs.
Good evening, Board. I have comments about the wildfires, too. Climate change is real, and now we're feeling the effects of it. No amount of more money, more water, more firemen could stop 100-mile-an-hour winds from spreading a fire like that. Okay, I think that our governor and our mayor are doing a phenomenal job with a very difficult situation. Having said that, and everybody's coming to the table wanting to help make sending donations. Unfortunately, it's gone overboard, and everybody's so anxious to help that most of the organizations that are collecting things have too much stuff, and they're saying, whoa, stop. I bagged up 3 bags of clothes to take to the YMCA, and they published stop sending things. Okay, and so if you are going to donate food, clothes, diapers, blankets, whatever, check with the organization that you're planning to donate to before you bring them. I put a flyer out to everybody called Wildfire Relief Donations, and this information came from our council member's office, and these are areas where you can donate funds. He said that is the best thing we can do, or some of these organizations you can volunteer your time. So these organizations that have so much stuff that they have to go through, people are bringing garbage bags randomly of clothes. You have to go through them. We have to sort them. So if you have the time, contact these organizations, see if they need people to help separate the items. But for now, and I think if Councilmember McCosker comes, he may tell you the same thing, that we need to kind of pull back on this. But this is not the time to blame anybody. This is the time to come together, help the people who lost their jobs, people who lost their homes, people who lost their lives. Making this politically an issue is not helpful. It's not a solution. So let's continue to band together, pay attention to what works. If I get an update on better locations or better opportunities to volunteer, I'd be glad to share it. That's my time. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can't comment on it.
What's that?
We aren't allowed to.
No, not in public comment. Okay, next person is Gwendolyn Henry as a community member.
On which topic?
Peck Park, January 12th plantings, native.
Oh, it's not the animal services? I wanted to kind of follow up.
That's next.
Okay. Okay. After the fire that occurred in Peck Park, there were 2 groups that went through. That was the public safety groups, as well as those who really were trying to liaise with the Rec and Park to try to do mitigations for fires. There's 2 ways to go about it: plant more native plants and make sure that the schedule of the trimmings of the trees is brought forward to before it becomes dry. And which they have changed. They have changed it to a brush clearance before it gets dry. It used to be like at July 1st, and now it's around March. So what we have here is a real motivated group called Friends of Peck Park Canyon. And right now there was just a Saturday, January 4th, planting event and weeding event on an area of Elberon. The goal is to put native plants and to get rid of the non-native grasses to save the community that's around it. The next one is Sunday, January 12th, from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Please spread the word. The flyers are out there. There's flyers out in the lobby.
That was yesterday. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Oh, God dang it. Okay, sorry. The next one, there will be more, but there are also, we're taking back the park. We're trying to activate people to take nature walks, learn about the native plants of the area, and, you know, there will be more planting events. And there's also a quick walk on Wednesday. So that's the fourth Saturday, the third Saturday of every month is a nature walk, and then then every Wednesday in the morning there is an exercise walk. But we're doing that to fill the park with people, and we would love to have more activities. Thank you.
Thank you. And you might as well stay up there for your other public comment.
So along with the fires, animal services all through the city of Los Angeles have been overwhelmed. They already have too many pets that are there that need foster and adoption. They just had this weekend a free adoption event and encouraging people to foster. It's even more important now. All of the pets that are now displaced for all of the families, they are going to be going to foster, and there's a trickle down. Other animal services all through Los Angeles, all through the county, are going to be moving animals down to areas that are less impacted by this. So please, please consider fostering, consider adopting. Also, remember to give supplies. That they have a long list of supplies, and they really could use it. A lot of supplies are going to the people direct, but don't forget about animal services here, because they are helping in this. And the best way you can do it locally is to help adopt here. Pedro Pet Pals also is taking supplies, and they also have many pets too that need help removing out to make room for pets who have been displaced. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Rachel Bronke.
Hi. So I have 2 cards too. So do I get two? Okay, good. So I know how much to go. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your service to be in here. My first comment is on the fires, and thank you for starting with a moment of silence. It's been really devastating to watch. I'm a climate activist. I'm trained by Al Gore in the Climate Reality Project. I'm an environmental resource engineer. I've been working in this for 30 years, environmental consciousness. About 7-8 years ago, when Berrigan first was running, she was here and speaking, and I had some students here, and there was also some workers at maybe the Phillips 66, I'm not quite sure, and they were defending kind of the oil industry and their jobs and everything. And I told them, I said, you don't know that moving forward, the youth are not going to understand why we didn't act. And they just don't understand it. And so the time to act is now. We have to do something different. The gentleman who was up here blaming, we do need more security. We do need more safety in our infrastructure. And we need to change, however, what we mean by security and safety. This heat, this dry, this wind, this no rain, this is climate change. And we have to act now. We have to protect these people whose properties and whose homes have just been burned down. And we have to protect them from the real estate looters. I'm a little tired of hearing about all this looting when actually it's going to be the real estate people and the profiteers that come and loot these people and the developer scams. So I'm encouraging all people, don't sell your property. Squat on it. Don't sell, squat. It's your land. Start doing something different with it. We need to change the zoning laws so that smaller houses can, okay, that's the first one? Good. So that smaller houses can be built on those lands. And I'll start the second one.
Go ahead.
Okay, so that one's a little shorter, so I'll finish with this one. We need to prioritize the land. When we have a property, I have a home I called Harbor Farms, and I have chosen to grow food on it.
Hang on.
Oh.
Are you still on the same subject?
Yeah, but I'm no, I'm on the next one.
You are on the next one?
It goes into the next one, yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
there doesn't seem to be a
Okay.
distinct break into it, so.
Yeah. Well, I'm taking up the 2 minutes with this new thing.
You've already done your 2 minutes for the first one.
Okay, but I have two, okay.
So you need to go on to the next subject.
Okay. Well, I have 2 minutes, so I'm going to take my 2 minutes. Thank you. Okay. Let's start the 2 minutes. Thanks. Speaking of, there's going to be, I think, discussion here in a local public safety group about a potential move in the city council to restrict our First Amendment rights to freedom of assembly. Please, I encourage all of you in the public safety groups and here to, not condone any restriction on our First Amendment rights. Labor, peace activists, environmental activists, housing, healthcare, all are going to be affected if we're not allowed to, protest or rally or whatever and have all these restrictions on the freedom of assembly. I want to give a shout out to the Phillips 66 people who are going to be, transitioning out of their current work, and that I applaud them, and that we support them any way we can in making sure that they're not afraid of their livelihoods. And one of the ways to do that is to cancel mortgages. If people's salaries are going to go lower, then they shouldn't have to have the mortgage payment that they had. That really goes to the bank anyway. So I encourage on new properties that are newly vacant from fires, smaller housing, prioritize the land, reuse of gray water. We need to do everything we can. So all this public infrastructure, if we can think about it differently and come together to rescue our land and our people, it's going to be a beautiful future if we do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next public comment is Christina Guzman.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Excuse me. So, I agree with everyone that was speaking, and I'm really sorry for everything going on with the fires. But on a different note, I just want to introduce myself. I am Christina Guzman. I am running for council, so I'm excited to hopefully be on board, right, and make changes and bring some positivity and some new light to the group. So I'm really excited to be here tonight and moving forward. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay, so that's all we have for public comment. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next agenda item. And what? Huh?
Did you lose this, or is it stuck?
Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. Okay, I swear. Hang on.
Pizza grease stuck too.
Oh, okay. That? Yeah. Trying to avoid it. All right. I'm sorry. One more. And this is from Mr. Vic Christensen, speaking as a public member of the community. Sorry about that, Vic.
No, he's not.
Glad you said that. Okay, a couple things about the issue with the fires. Big surprise there. Even though the skies are looking clearer and smelling better now, there can still be particulate matter in the air. So recommendations are when you're outside to wear N95 masks.
I don't have one.
On that note, they are available at all public libraries, LA public libraries, while the supplies last.
We'll call them.
So if you need one or want one, that's one place you can go to look. And they are free there. Metro's suspending their fares during the fires emergencies to help people get around and transport donations and get to their loved ones and things like that. So don't know when that'll end because we don't know when the fire emergency will end, but they are suspended during that time. And there is apparently a scam going around where Metro Express Lane supposedly is texting you saying you owe fines or something like that. Those are scams. Metro will not text about things like that. So if you get something saying you owe something for the express lane or something like that, don't click on any links. Just delete them and don't get caught by that. That's all.
Thank you. I didn't see it. So, Ray Lawson, you're up. Sorry.
Okay.
Ray, are you going to be speaking on Phillips 66?
Yes.
Okay, if I can, this is the intent. I was going to announce, if I could, so we'll take care of this because it was up next on the agenda, announce that Phillips 66 was supposed to be here
They
to
canceled.
talk about the closure, and I was going to allow public comment being that it's still an agenda item, so under the Phillips 66 presentation, that's where you were going to come up, and I do, now that I see that you have this, so I see the confusion here, but officially we're moving on to the next agenda item number 3, the presentation, and as I had announced, they are not going to be here today. So with that said, opening up as an agenda item, opening up to comment, and you're the first one, Ray.
Okay.
Sorry for the confusion.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. Ray Lawson, and I'm a member of the Western States Carpenters. We have dozens of our members that work at Phillips 66 Refinery in Wilmington and in Carson, and we're just here to remind the council, or even Council District 15, Tim McOster's office, about the transition of these jobs. We have people there who have, middle class jobs that will lose their homes, that will, the way of life, their lifestyle will be affected by the closure of this refinery. So we just want to remind the council and to make it a point that whatever the transition is, say it be a power plant, solar plant, green energy, or even housing, whatever the future of that property is, that we would like to see to make sure that it's prevailing wage jobs and jobs with affordable livable income, and also with apprenticeships, and also with health care involved, so the people can still have the standard of living that they had before the closure. So we just would like to remind the council of that, and that even though the presentation wasn't tonight, it's rescheduled, we will be back at the rescheduling date and speak again. Thank you for your time.
Ray, I'd like to ask you a question, and if you're not prepared to answer the question, could you maybe, when you come back next time around, how many members are going to be affected by the closure? Do you know offhand?
No, well, I know for like our union and the other trade unions, there's 300 tradesmen that work there year round. And then it could go up to anywhere to 700 to 800 during a turnaround outage, whatever the case may be. And that's not including the 900 people that work there year round for the refinery. So they'll be affected by it also.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Lori, go ahead.
Melanie?
Melanie, I'm sorry. You guys
Whatever
got
my
so
name
much to
is
say.
today. Yeah, so Ray and I went to the Community Advisory Board meeting that was just about 2 weeks ago that they had, because I do public safety and he's the president. And we went, and some of our concerns that we brought up were just the very thing that you're talking about. The employees were concerned. One of the things that I suggested was a JEDI program to bring them in. Talk about retraining for all of you if you can't place you somewhere. You shouldn't have to up and move from your homes that you're paying mortgages on. You're established in this community. You're our stakeholders. And they need to make you whole.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest concern. The other concern we have is the environmental portion of it, them closing this down too. Are they going to be responsible in the way that they're closing it so that they don't contaminate the rest of the neighborhood as they're taking all this stuff out of there, and the soil and everything else? That's a big concern too. But I'm very disappointed that they canceled tonight.
Yeah.
She just canceled 2 days ago.
And
Now we're rescheduled for February.
Yeah, and we plan on being here for the rescheduling, and we'll continue to speak out. And, we
Yes.
want to know what the plan is, and be
So
part
they're
of it.
scheduled for the February 10th board meeting. She agreed to that date. So we're going to hold their feet to the fire on that one.
Okay. Gwen, you have a question or a comment, I'm sure. But if I can say, Ray, one of the things that I asked at that meeting was that I believe that Phillips 66 has an obligation to keep the community as advised as possible about this closure and how it's going to affect not only the environment, but how it's going to affect the members who are going to have to transition or lose their jobs or whatever it's going to happen, whatever is going to be, so that there is an opportunity for community to step in and hold them accountable for whatever it is that is going to happen in the future. When I asked for that at this meeting, they were very vague about their answer. They listened, but they did not commit. And one of my requests again today, and I'll do it again in February, was going to be that I would like them to establish, and not that it's going to be their meeting, but establish a community advisory committee so that as a community and as Phillips 66, and when I say community, I'm thinking about you all as part of that community, to be part of and sit down so that we know what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and when it's going to happen, so that it's not going to be a surprise. Because the other thing I did ask for is the timeline. What's all this going to look like, during this time period that they're going to be shutting down? So I'm hoping that we could ask for your support in this advisory committee, so that we can be transparent. They can be transparent about the closure. They can be held accountable for the closure. And we as a community are well aware as how it's going to affect us all, as they do whatever work that they're going to be doing. So I'll be asking our elected officials for their support on this. And I'm hoping that we can get the support of your union, your members, and anyone else that's going to be affected by this, because this is going to be a big, long process. The way I think of it. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to get some type of answers to our questions as the questions come up, and not have to wait for them to give us the information that they choose to give us in this thing. So
Yes, most definitely. On my card, I left my information, but I also can leave my information here so we can stay in contact and continue to build a relationship with this council for the future. And because we're big on accountability also. It's kind of like Phillips 66 is just cutting and running and just leaving a community in a big hole in the community and with no hope or no future. So, and we're not going to allow that to happen.
thank you. Gwen, you want to ask or make your comment while Ray's still there?
Prior to the Community Advisory Committee and building up to that, we do create letters and things like that as a body. We have committees where we really appreciate people who are impacted by that to speak and help formulate those letters and the communications. So please consider attending public safety. That's Melanie Lebrecq. I'm sure she'll put it on the agenda at some point, but having somebody who can come and give their input in that would be greatly appreciated.
Oh, yes, most
Because
definitely.
it is a stakeholder group.
Yes.
Yes,
So
thank you.
We'll be participating in that, most definitely.
Lori?
I have an article coming out in the newsletter this week about Phillips 66, and Tim mentions in there his dedication to workforce development. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for construction jobs coming up, carpenters, things like that, because of the damage with the fire. So maybe there's an opportunity there for some of these people who are going to lose their jobs for us to look at training for some of these. Just wanted to mention that. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Ray, thank you for being here today and your members. Appreciate it. Okay, that is the end of agenda item number 3. Let me say that Tim is scheduled to be here tonight. He does have something that he has to do at 6:30, so I understand that he'll be here after he's through with that one item. So we'll be giving him an opportunity to speak at that particular point, and you all are welcome to stay and ask questions if you like. Our next item is the homelessness liaison report, agenda item number 4.
Well, hello again. So I put out a message. The homeless count is done across the country the same week, okay, very intentionally. HUD, the federal government, the HUD gave Los Angeles an exception to postpone the homeless count for very obvious reasons. May not even happen this year. I don't even know how you count this, and so I will keep you advised. So anybody who signed up for it, just hold tight. We don't know when it's going to be. First they said end of February, but I suspect it's really an impossible situation. So having said that, my report, I've added some more resources. So if you do see people in need, whether it be they're homeless, they're having a psychotic break, whatever, family out on the street in their car. So I've highlighted that 3 of the resources on my report are 24/7. They're every single day, 24 hours. So one is the Circle team, and to reach the Circle team, you need to go through the 877 Ask LAPD, and they determine if it's an emergency or a non-emergency, and Circle team will call on the non-emergency. Keep in mind, if you see a dangerous situation, you either call 911 or law enforcement. This is for something that falls in a different category. The portal for LA HOP that I pushed, the outreach teams only work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So you still should report things, but just know if this is somebody that's experiencing homelessness only on the evening, they're not going to ever find them. I added the a new helpline access line that combines mental health with substance use services, and that one they combine these to try to have more of a centralized number for people to reach. I'm not exactly sure how well that's worked so far because it's relatively new. I'll track that. I put 211 on here, and 211 is really important because for families, you need to go to 211. The other numbers will not call on families. I know all of these numbers are frustrating. I know you could be put on hold for quite a while. Stick with it. If you are not getting through, reach out to Drew with Tim's office, because she has the ability to weed through some of these, and she's more than happy to be a resource. The CD15 working group, next meeting is in March. If you have a topic you'd like to see covered there, probably their agenda is going to change now, but you can email them. It's on here. Most of my report talks about new laws that went into effect January 1 that relate to homelessness, housing, mental health. There's new, you can read through them. I have the online report, links to the bills if you want to see them. A Senate bill on rental properties, fees, and security. There's one, an assembly bill giving them more time to respond to evictions, so it helps tenants to have a little more time if they do get an eviction notice, and what their resources are. SB 1061, medical debt. So one of the barriers when people are trying to get housed is they don't pass the credit check, and a lot of times because they have delinquent medical bills, those will no longer be part of their credit report. It may not seem like a big deal to you, but it actually is huge. Removing that barrier is important. So, and also they removed AB 2017 on a non-sufficient fund fees, and you could read through that. I also have something that's brand new. It's called ECRC, which stands for Emergency Centralized Response Center. This is not for you to contact. This is more internal. Okay, so and it says here it's for elected officials, jurisdictions, governmental agency, and outreach teams. And this is an effort of the county to, again, trying to take this giant gorilla and streamline it between the different entities. It's just a constant battle with the complexities that we have in LA County. So that's relatively new. I will watch that. And for now, with all the people that have been displaced, homelessness is going to take a whole other turn. But we can't, we want to help all the families who lost their homes, but we can't also turn away from the people in our area that are experiencing homelessness. So, and as usual, if anybody has any questions, I have my email address on the report.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, Melanie?
The ERC, so would we be considered elected officials to call that one?
Not in this case, no. This would be city council and supervisors. Yeah.
Okay.
Paid elected officials.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks for letting me be of service.
Next item, number 5, is the elected officials, public safety representatives. I got a text from Senior Lead Officer Bologna. They've all been dispatched out to the various locations in Los Angeles that is experiencing the wildfire. So we won't have a report from them today. I said earlier that Tim is supposed to be here at some point, so we'll come back to him when he gets here. But we do have another city official here that we'd like to give an opportunity to talk about, and that's Octaviano.
Presumptuous. Good evening, everybody. My name is Octaviano Rios with the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. I wasn't sure who was going to be here from the mayor's office, but I wanted to be here just in case staff wasn't present from elected offices to at least share one website that's a resource for folks. I don't have a full report other than sharing maybe 2 items. The first one is the emergency resources online website, which is emergency.lacity.gov/recovery.
Slow down.
I'll repeat it. It's the emergency.lacity.gov/recovery. So it's a webpage that the city dedicates to centralize all information related to resources that can help folks that need it, that have been involved with the recent wildfires. And some of the tabs, I want to read them off that you'll find. It's assistance for individuals and families, assistance for property owners, assistance for businesses and workers, shelter and housing services, health and safety resources, additional recovery resources, staying prepared, a resource map, and other ways to help. So those are the various links that this webpage houses. I've also been told this evening that when you go to lacity.org, it takes you to another website that isn't particularly exactly like this webpage, and I haven't browsed it just yet. But it also has some resources. So either way, it'll get you to hopefully those resources that you can share with family members, relatives, neighbors that have contact with folks that have been victimized with the fires. And I think Vic mentioned this, and Vic, I missed the announcement. I think you were announcing the N95 availabilities at public libraries. Okay. So the only reason I knew about it was my sister emailed me a Facebook link from the public library, and when I went to the website, it wasn't announced. So, and then my wife went out there to kind of verify she was already in the neighborhood to the Harbor City Library. So they are giving out N95 masks, which are really expensive, as you know. So please take care of your health. And of course, we're not near the fires, but we're getting that air quality reduction. So be concerned about that. I didn't want to go into the Neighborhood Council's Emergency Authority, Mr. President, but I can if you want. I did share with board presidents the ability to tap into up to $1,000 in a declared emergency. And beyond that, the board has to approve funds to purchase supplies or support organizations involved in emergency recovery efforts. I guess I did go into it. That was a quick summary. But there's a whole policy that I didn't want to get into tonight. But if you do have questions, I can resend that information, Mr. President, as well as to the board members. But you should have received an email from the city clerk's funding team regarding that policy, which is pretty extensive, but not too hard to follow. Other than that, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Questions? It looks like we got a couple hands here. So I saw Vic's hand up first, and then I saw John's hand. So
just a quick, not so much question, but just a confirmation with the N95 mask. I got an email from Jocelyn Dominguez at a little bit after noon today. So I don't know how widespread that information is or where else it might have gone. I think that I got it at my neighborhood council email address, so I'm guessing that the whole board got it, but I don't know that for sure. Also, I understand that our local library is closed right now, so it will be open until April. So that could be a problem if somebody wants to go there to get one. I know there are other ones in various places, of course, but I don't know why this one is closed. So if it's renovation, okay.
Renovation.
So there are other ones that people would have to go to get them.
The closest one, Wilmington and Harbor City, or those are two?
Yeah, but that's inconvenient for a lot of people in San Pedro. I mean, it doesn't make it, what's the word I'm looking for?
Community related.
It doesn't make it so that it's equitable. For those that don't have cars or whatever that live in San Pedro and the lowers to go get an N95 like the other areas can, where our library isn't available, and that's where it shows our library is where they're supposed to pick it up. That library is closed. I did the math.
It did it.
Yeah, but I'm sure they didn't schedule the renovation around the fires.
Yeah, I know.
Right. I had one last thing. I don't see the workers that were here, but I was doing a little research, and I know there's a rapid response team that works out of the Economic and Workforce Development Department. I would recommend that those workers connect with the work source centers to help with some transitional resources. Hopefully, they've been activated there locally, and I think the local one is in Wilmington. It used to be in San Pedro, but I think it's in Harbor College on campus now. I haven't been to it personally, but it seems like that's where our local workforce center has moved, is at that community college.
So, Octaviano, if because of the fact that I think we're a bit unique here, being that our library is closed for these masks, would you feel it's appropriate for perhaps maybe Dunn can get in touch with the mayor's office or whoever might be responsible so that they perhaps make arrangements for the community of San Pedro to pick up masks from some location? I mean, we do have a city hall here.
We're here.
Well, I was going to mention that we do have a park here, you know.
We'll have N95s available starting tomorrow.
Okay. Well,
Thank
then
you,
there
Michael.
you go.
There you go.
Great. Thank you for that, Michael. Then never mind.
Well, and it's fluid, right? All these different announcements that are coming in, these resources.
Yeah. Okay. I have John, and then Gwen, you're next, and then Chris.
I got a quick question for you, old bearded man. Did you send out the email to let everybody know about the Empower LA change, the website?
No, not yet. So thank you for bringing that up. So John and I had a discussion, I think, on Friday. I was trying to, like I always do, look for resources on our Empower LA website, and lo and behold, they deactivated, or we deactivated that website because we are now housed with the city's network. So there's a unique web address for that now. So if you did what I did, I saved all my tabs, all those unique websites, all the network councils that I work with, all the resources.
Oh my God.
Those no longer work. So I spent a good deal of time resetting everything and renaming everything. So I'll resend it to I'll send it to you all. I sent it to you, John, right?
I got it already.
Yeah, because you got a time-sensitive issue that you wanted to address. So I'll send it to everybody. I haven't received a lot of complaints, so I didn't want to bombard folks, especially during these fires, with administrative things. But I can send it out.
Thank you. Gwen?
Go to Chris first. Go to Chris first. I got to reset. That shocked me. Go to Chris.
Okay.
And I'll come back
It just occurred to me when you mentioned city EOD that we could probably come up with some kind of coordinated effort through county workforce development as well, considering the size of the facility, the number of people. You mentioned, like, I don't know if it was somewhere between 900 and 1,200 people that maybe we could kind of come up with, possibly even an event or something, but considering, the scope of the entire county, that's a huge number of people, and maybe bringing the county in as well, so we could probably reach out to Supervisor Hunt's office and see if she can point us in the right direction as well.
Thank you. And sorry I can't speak more intelligently on their resources or what qualifies folks to participate or what activates them. I just wanted to make sure that I planted a seed on that office.
Okay. Remember now, Gwen?
Yeah. So regarding the masks, and that we now have places that have the masks. Here we are, the neighborhood council, and we're hearing all of this stuff yesterday. So I really urge that we have a better communication something that needs to be done so that we can get that information out. I would really like to know which organization got the Rec and Parks involved for the masks. All the neighborhood councils should have on their website this kind of information immediately that is distributed to everybody. We've got to find a way of communicating this effectively. I don't know how, but it's got to be from someone, if that can be done. Please.
Any other questions from around the table?
Empower LA site.
Okay. Lori?
I also got the email. I'm not a board member. I got an email from the mayor's office about the N95 mask. You know, the fires just happened. Everybody's scrambling to make things available. We can't just twitch our nose and make it happen. So I knew that the library's closed because I work at the library. But I wanted to find out exactly I heard it was opening in March. You're saying April. It also said, while supplies last. They're not going to have an endless amount of these available. And I don't know, if you go there, how many you can take at a time either. So I think we should cut these organizations a little slack. Everybody's trying to find assistance. Okay, I was going to post this once I knew a little bit more. I got the email. I sent a question to Jocelyn to ask her a little more information. But also, people can purchase N95 masks. You can order them online. You can get them at the local stores. I have a supply. I've been using them because I do have concerns about the air quality. And I'm not trying to minimize anything, but the air quality north of us is a lot worse than ours. So I'd like to see the emphasis put on the areas where the air quality is the worst.
Thank you, Lori. Kelly.
The good thing about the Canyon 95s is that usually they come to you in a pack, and with these you can use them more than one time. So they're multi-purpose. You don't have to just use them one time. And they are available. I mean, we have them at school. We ordered new cases because we had, ran out. We had them for COVID. But they are available in the grocery stores and stuff too. But what about the library that's on? I wanted to ask about the library that's on Western over by Narbonne. Can you get a
county library?
That's a county? Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, really?
That's considered Harbor City? So they would have them there, right? Okay, so that's fairly close to, closer than trying to go to Wilmington or anything. But I know with everything being so fluid, there's really with the school, we're literally going hour by hour on what we're doing, whether we're closed, we're open or closed or open. And it's just really like sitting on pins and needles all the time, not knowing what to go on. And we have to have a lot of grace.
Okay. George?
I will go to Wilmington tomorrow and grab some masks and bring them up here to the park.
Okay.
Just so you guys have a closer, is that all right?
The park's getting some. We have some available starting tomorrow as well.
I don't know what I'm saying is just so that you guys don't run out because everybody's coming here. If there's a concern that there's going to be a shortage.
George, my concern was the families in Rancho, because they can afford to go out and buy them or have, they're less equitable for them. So I was thinking, is there any way of dropping some off to their center there too?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
I'll go grab them from Wilmington and I'll bring it to my No, I'll go grab some from Wilmington and I'll take them to 1 San Pedro.
Kelly?
Please let the kids know that they can get them at school, that they can bring them home to their families. The schools are supplying them too. So if even the schools at 15th Street, Barton Hill, all of them, they have masks available for the families.
I can put some social media stuff together to get it out there to let people know as well.
Any other questions? Vic?
Just to clarify, Octaviano, you said the Harbor Workforce Center on 6th Street is now closed? Is that the one you were talking about?
That's the one I'm talking about. Yeah, I believe that's
Because
been
it's still showing.
relocated to-
It's still showing on the EDD website as being a valid location. That's why I was wondering.
Okay. It moved, right? the Worksource Center? Yeah, to Harbor College.
Okay, so they just haven't updated their site.
They have an old information. That's on the Economic and Workforce Development Department website?
Yeah.
Okay.
The EDD website on their location search, it still shows up as being on 6th Street.
6th Street, so folks are showing up. Thank
So-
you. Thank you for letting me know.
That's why I was wondering, because I've been to that one, and I know there's also a relatively large one in Gracia Avenue and Torrance. I don't know how that compares to the one in Wilmington or the one now at Harbor College, but that's another location.
All right. Anything else? Council member, you came right at the right time.
He's eating. You got him right at the right time, too.
He knows what he's doing.
No. Go ahead. If it's okay, can we do our consent calendar and then? Okay.
That's bad news for you.
Okay. With that, we're sort of through with agenda item number 5, but we'll come back to it after our consent calendar, which is agenda item number 6. And we have 3 items under the consent calendar. The approval of the December 9th board and stakeholder meeting minutes, the appointment of Thomas as the alternate Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council representative for Rancho San Pedro Community Advisory Committee, and the last is to acknowledge John DeMeglio's resignation from the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council board and any committees he is a part of. Do I hear if anyone wants to remove any one of these?
I'll move.
No, why? Well, wait. I want to make sure that.
I'll move off.
No, that's the one.
Oh, no, I don't want to remove them.
Looking for anyone that wants to remove any of these for further discussion. Thank you for answering for everyone, Melanie. So I'm not seeing anyone saying anything, so let's go ahead and get a motion to approve the consent calendar.
That's what I was trying to do myself.
Thank you, Melanie. Do I hear a second?
Can I second Melanie's Norman?
Thomas is seconding. Any discussion? No discussion. So can we get the vote count, Vic?
Melanie, would you like to answer for everybody? John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Cynthia Gagne.
Yes.
Gwen Henry.
Yes.
Alonzo Jenkins.
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq.
Yes.
You sure? Okay. But I don't need to ask anybody else, I guess. Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Angela Sumner. Chris Valle.
Yes.
It is unanimous with 12.
Okay. Very good. Ready, council member?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I wanted to come and speak about the fires, of course, and anything else you want to talk about. What a week. You know, a week ago, last week on Tuesday night, some of you attended, we had a big meeting at the Grand Vision space to talk about the fires that were in, Whites Point. Little did we know the next day the world was going to change rather dramatically for us. It was during council meeting that I turned to my colleague, Tracy Park, and asked her why she was rushing, and she said she had gotten the call about the beginnings of the Palisades fire. It was shockingly, up to like 10 acres at that time when she got the call, and she rushed out. And you can imagine how the world changed so dramatically. I want to give a report of a briefing that I just received. We have a daily briefings for elected officials at 10:30 in the morning and at 6:30 in the evening. So I was actually in my car in the parking lot taking a briefing there. The Palisades fire is only 14% contained, but let's talk about what containment means, okay? The Palisades fire is not spreading at this moment. It is the same size as it was this morning. It's not changing its geography, but it's still burning. Containment means what firefighters do in containment is you basically dig or create a wall and you create cold space between the fire and the firefighters. And so 14% of it is surrounded by cold or wet space that is not burning. And that containment, when it gets to 100%, the fire can be out. And they can keep going to make sure it's not going to, begin or reignite and continue to spread. I only say that because I think people misinterpret what containment means. So there are 42 companies of LA City at the Palisades fire. That's a gigantic commitment of resources. And they, again, continue to fight it. They're working in strike teams, essentially. It feels very much like 24 on, 24 off, 24 on, 24 off. Don't forget that we need to make sure that we also staff the rest of our houses throughout the city. And so there's a lot of firefighters working a lot of overtime necessarily. And there are some areas that are spread thin, including ours. We have no house has blacked out or browned out in our area, but we are spread pretty thin. And I will say that for all of these updates, for the South region, for our district, fire is doing a great job covering while all of their colleagues, so many of their colleagues are up there. On the Hearst fire, the containment is 87%, which is great. And there are no LA City resources there. That's a kind of a CAL FIRE operation. And the Eaton fire I got less of a report on this just because of the nature of the briefing, but the Eaton fire this morning was 27% contained, and that's a county operation as well. I did get a briefing on the relief efforts. The city will have the UCLA Center. It used to be called the Beverly Center. No, not the Beverly Center. The West Side Pavilion. Thank you. The West Side Pavilion is now going to be a disaster relief center. It's going to open as soon as tomorrow and have 40 to 45 agencies from the local, county, and the state. Folks will be invited to go there to get access to all resources. They're being encouraged not to rush, take their time, because it's not a first come, first serve, and they'll run out. This was something that's going to be open for many, many weeks. I did get the message, and I know that Lori passed this on, that there's a lot of really good goodwill coming in, a lot of materials and supplies, and folks are being urged now to call ahead and have a plan to make sure they know where it's going, because some places are full. Firehouses can't take these supplies. The firehouses are busy doing their fire department jobs. And so I'll just give you an example. Today I talked to the ILWU, and all of the locals are beginning an effort in the next couple of days, and they've prearranged to deliver containers full of supplies for UFCW workers who lost their stores and necessarily lost their jobs. So they're making arrangements directly with an entity. George and Erica and others in our office are also making sure that if folks want to reach out to us and they want to do something, we're in contact with the Emergency Operations Center, the EOC, to make connections like that where we can, whether it's the care of animals or support for a particular shelter. We will make those arrangements. And I can't tell you the number of calls that we're getting, and they're all really great calls. One that was just over the transom today was Sit and Sleep called, and they've helped us with our fire stations. And they called today and said they want to be part of this effort and just figure out how many mattresses and how many beds you need and where they need to go. So there are great helpers like that. I just want to look at my notes. I apologize that it's so informal, but it's literally, this is, fresh information from just a few minutes ago. The Department of Water and Power is, according to CAL FIRE and county and, well, not county, the city, supplying the amount of water that they need and the levels and with the pressures that they need. I know that power was out in a big part of our district, from Watts through the Gateway and Harbor City particularly. All of that power has been restored, which is excellent to know. I misstated one of the numbers when I told you there'd be 40 or 45 city, county, and state agencies at the Disaster Recovery Center at the Westside Pavilion. It's actually 70. So folks are going to be able to do one-stop shopping there. There have been 3, you've seen the numbers of fatalities that have been described. Sadly, it's been publicly reported about 16 fatalities. We're obviously, we don't have a complete assessment of that. We know 3 of those fatalities in the city of LA. So much of it has been outside of the city. Big wind event, beginning now to the north and to the west of us. CAL FIRE believes that the wind event will be significant, but they do not believe that that will down the airships, keep the airships out of the air. They think that this event will be significant, but not so significant as the earlier wind event. They think that the airships will be up and about, and the real issue is not going to be the safety of the airships, but whether or not the wind directions will displace the retardant that they drop or the water that they drop, but it'll be retardant actually. And so the question of whether or not they can put the airships up and be effective is whether or not they can accurately deploy and drop the retardant at the right places. I want to come down a little closer to our area. We've been keeping a close eye on fires throughout our district, and there have been a number of fires, and some of which appear to me as a layperson and would appear to you as educated and involved people to be arson. I will say that LAFD's response times, even stretched thin, have been exceptional, above average, I'll say. I think it's just the nature of what's happening now with eyes on especially vegetation areas. LAPD has been rolling with them when something looks suspicious. We did have an arson in Wilmington where we made an arrest, which I think was a good arrest. And we have had several fires in Molloy Park that clearly were arson. We had an arrest that was not directly related to arson, but it was some suspicious circumstances, but the person had outstanding warrants, so that arrest was made, and they'll continue to connect the evidence to see whether or not that was the arsonist. I spoke to the chief of the park rangers this evening, and we will have what I'm going to call full-time deployment of park rangers back in Molloy Park as of right now. Yeah, by full-time I mean we're talking a dedicated crew that will have a full work week, and we're going to work up beyond that. But I think it's a significant improvement. Yeah. And the other good news is not only will we have park rangers, remember all of the park rangers are also cross-certified as firefighters. And so we are deploying and have deployed as of today a water vehicle. It looks very much like a small fire engine. It's what like CAL FIRE uses. A truck is now at Molloy, placed there, and it is making proactive rounds through the park, and it's available to us throughout our area. And so we're going to be working with our park rangers and our fire suppression program within the park rangers to assist, especially on surveying and suppression. And so that's good news too. And The park rangers have offered that they can come here, or the chief, or come to other community meetings, because I think there's a realization that it is, as we all have all known, we have a lot of vegetation areas, and we have a lot of areas that are potentially, create a fire danger. As you all know, tomorrow night we will have another meeting. I think it's at the high school? At the aquarium. We're going to be at the aquarium tomorrow to do a follow-up of the White's Point, which I know is outside of our area, but it's all related. Whether it's Peck Park Canyon or Malloy Park or White's Point or any other area of vegetation, particularly within the Rec and Parks Department, we need to make sure that we have these resources available to us. And park rangers assigned at Malloy are intended to be for Malloy and to make rounds. And so we're going to continue to build from where we are today. With that, I'm happy to take questions.
Okay, I see a couple hands here. But I'm going to take the lead, the opportunity to maybe start off the questions. Something, Councilman, that I find very distracting that I don't think we need at this particular point, and I kind of maybe like to find out how you feel.
Yeah.
Is that there seems to be this tangent that we're taking as far as what's so important when we're hearing that there might be this issue between the mayor and the fire chief, right, when we should be really concentrating on remedies, to what we're dealing with. I'm wondering if you have anything that you might want to say about that. And I hope I'm not putting you on the spot.
No, not at all.
But I think it's very distracting, and I think, stuff goes on, within our government all the time, but I feel really bad that, we're in the middle of something and we get distracted by this.
Sure. And, the issue begins with, was there or was there not a cut in the fire department budget? And, I was there, so I can tell you that when the budget came forward, when the mayor's budget proposal, which is the process in April, the mayor gives you a budget proposal, it was the same time that we were in negotiations with the firefighters union for their next round of raises or their next contract. And I sat at the time on the budget committee. Yes, I did sit on the budget committee, but not on public safety committee. And so we put a big number. It was $53 million into something called the unappropriated balance, just in case we gave raises, which we knew we were going to give. At the same time, the mayor's budget proposal came, and it did have cuts. It had cuts of unfilled positions that were funded but unfilled, and we had reviewed that, over the course of months, and there were positions that hadn't been filled for a long time. I'm not trying to cast blame. I'm just stating facts. And we looked at that as a council, and we said, no, we can't do that. We have to fill those. We have to make sure that we fund those positions, some of those positions, as many as we can. And so we came up with about $5 million, $6 million to make sure those positions were funded. And they were in two categories. One was in mechanics, and you've read about that in the paper, and one was something I really cared about because of my family background. It was in wildlands fire suppression. We funded a group of folks to do exactly what we need, which is kind of like CAL FIRE type in wildlands fire protection. It's a small group, but it was a start of something that needs to grow. The point being that by the time we adopted the budget, it was, if you looked at the top line item, it was whatever, $17 million less than the top line item the year before. But then you look at the unappropriated balance in the raises, it wound up being about an $80 million increase in the total budget. So today I can pretty fairly say that the budget for LAFD is, in fact, $80 million over what we spent last year. A lot of that goes to raises. It doesn't mean it went to new positions. Although we did fund new positions, they haven't been filled yet. So when the LA Times says, I'm sorry, I'm just giving you the honest answer, which is probably rare for politicians. You know, when the LA Times says, well, yes, there was a cut, there's an argument there was a cut, but there's an argument there wasn't a cut. That's actually true. So there were some positions that were cut, but there was a lot more money put in the budget. And so we need to do a little bit of soul searching here and say, where are we going? You know, what type of department have we funded? I personally, I'm not speaking for any other council member, I personally feel like we need to take an assessment of what are the 21st century challenges of a hotter and drier Los Angeles, and where should we put our dollars? And it might mean fewer resources of a type in some parts of our city and more resources of a different type in another part of the city. It might be more wildlands protection. It might mean more protection of areas that have open spaces, or more resources into enforcement of taking down vegetation. And it might be less of having, you know, paramedics, for example, in a part of the city where nobody lives at night. You know, it might be some, not painful, but it might be just some new thinking about how we do the department in addition to putting more money into the department. I think that's clear. Sorry, that's the first time I've tried that answer, but I'm here among friends, and this is my neighborhood council. I live right across a vegetated canyon, so I care a lot about this, and you guys know my family history of firefighters. So that being said, the chief, I mean, I know firefighters. I know how they think. I haven't talked to her about this personally, but I think the chief feels passionately about this, and she's the one who has members finding these people who have perished. She's the one who has members who are seeing devastated families when thousands of buildings are burnt down. So I think she legitimately, honestly feels strongly that she's been saying, I need more, I need more, I need more. Like every other department member, a department head in the city of Los Angeles, by the way. Like every single department head, without exception. And she feels deeply convicted, and the mayor has a job to do, a really, really tough job. I've been in, when I worked for Mayor Hahn, I know what it's like to put out a budget and then have somebody second guess it later, especially after, 12 months of experience. So I feel like they are on the same team. They are on the same team. They just need to have these conversations and sort of get over it. And the most important thing, boy, this is really a very deeply personal answer, isn't it? The most important thing, let's put these fires out.
Yeah.
Let's get these fires out, and then let's sit down, and let's be honest and not point fingers, because I'm willing to say, hey, we should do more.
Yeah.
If the chief says we need more, we need more. But let's give it a few weeks, get through these fires, get people all lined up for their recovery efforts, and then get down to the real business of assessing where we are in safety and what we need to do to protect future safety, because I don't think this is a one-off. I think this is going to happen again.
I agree.
Yep. Councilman, thank you so much for that, because I think it helps us put some context around what we're hearing in the news. And as all the time, we're not getting the full story. And I know there's, all the other conversations that go on that would help. So thank you for helping us understand a little bit better. I saw Melanie and also Vic.
What about the comment card?
No, I haven't forgotten.
So, thank you for your quick response last night on the harbor fires. I was constantly getting updated on them and everything too, and I was concerned because the refinery's right there at Anaheim Street, and it was the second fire was right on that line of the east side of Anaheim Street by the refinery, and I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, oh my God, a second one. And so the information I got that 2 people were arrested, is that true?
No.
Okay.
No, but there were 2 people. There was the best information I have was that there was a witness and a suspect.
Okay.
And the witness and the suspect was interviewed and had an outstanding warrant and was arrested. and the suspect was, some of the information was unreliable on connecting it to the fire.
Okay. So the question, twofold here. The first one is, supposedly today, I've got video that it was still smoldering out there. My biggest concern is with these winds picking up and everything, they reported it to the guard shack that it was still smoldering, and they were told that they were watching it. The concern is that that needs to be completely out with these winds escalating, not smoldering, because then it can spark up again, and we're going to have a Hail Mary over there again.
Yeah.
And which, as you said, our support is small right now because they're all way yonder. We don't want to get something big that all of a sudden is going to require more than a 4-engine, 3-engine response. The other concern that was brought up to me by stakeholders was that, like the guy that was arrested or people that are doing arson that we are catching here in the harbor area, are they going to be held to that standard of being held with no bail and strict criminal charges against them like they are in the other fire area? Are they going to be held to the same convictions and held to the same? Because this is not okay. The arsonists and all that are not okay. And they're scaring the life out of our stakeholders and everything. They're afraid that we're going to burn down here in San Pedro, too, if they have their way with it. Mm-hmm. Like the Molotov cocktail yesterday thrown at somebody's house. And the fire people had
25th and
on 24th, 5th, and
25th
Anchovy.
and Anchovy, yeah. So taking each of those pieces, there were 2 separate events yesterday, and there was another one today. I don't have enough detail to know whether that was a smoldering and a restart or whether it was a separate event. I just don't know. But because I don't know, I am not only working with our great LAFD, but I think that having that resource from the park rangers with water on site is really, really critical. And so I'm asking the rangers and their fire suppression unit to really stay on it and make sure everything is completely wet and cold. So responsive to your question, it's that rangers unit is really key because it's an additional resource that we don't have with our stretch-thin LAFD.
That is amazing, and I did not know that we had that added now. And thank you.
Right, it's a brand new rig, and I think I even posted a picture of it. It's a cool-looking item, and it looks very much like what CAL FIRE uses, which I happen to know because my youngest son is a CAL firefighter who operates one of those rigs.
And I will share that so that everybody is...
Share it, yeah, please do. On the question of holding people accountable, I do have a call into the district attorney to make that request. We haven't connected, not surprisingly, given how busy he is, but I want to make sure that we're treating every arson, regardless of where it is, whether it's inside the fire zone or outside the fire zone, with the same level of concern. So, yes, I'm on it.
Vic?
I don't remember the exact number, but I think I remember reading that there were 72 or something like that firefighters that came up from Mexico to help with the fires, and it made me wonder how many helpers, quote, for lack of a better word, do we have coming from outside the area? I know there's some coming from out of state,
Canada,
possibly out of the country, but do you have any numbers on how many have come in from other locations?
I don't have a current number. That would have been a good question to ask. I'll ask it tomorrow. I had heard at one point that we had about 5,000 firefighters on the 3 fires when they were underway, and that is larger than our deployment. That's double or triple the size of our deployment that we could possibly manage through LA City. But that includes the county. I'm going to backtrack here and say that includes the county, the city, and all of the other agencies that were coming down. But I'll get a number and find out. It's a big number. I mean, they were in from Sacramento. They were obviously in from Mexico, as you said, in from Nevada and from Canada, right? They've been coming from all over, which is the kind of thing that we do, too. We have often sent firefighters into other states and even abroad.
Kelly?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being present with everything, with all the donations and everything. I appreciate knowing that you are present for us, not just at your job, but you're present for us. And I appreciate your reporting to us on this. It's a lot. It's a lot to take. It is fluid, and thank you for giving us the most up to date. And just, we just got to keep a lot of people in a lot of prayer. And but thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Chris.
Hi, Tim. Again, just trying to echo that. I just want to thank you. Basically, this is kind of a leadership shout out for the candor. Quite honestly, I've been, like everybody else, glued to the TV, and everybody and their dog's got a hot take on it.
Yeah.
Everybody's got an opinion or whatever. And just quite frankly, hearing from somebody who's had the actual conversations and is just going to deliver something that makes sense, even if it's not, as comforting, as nice as we'd like, is super, super important. And please don't stop doing that.
Okay, thank you. I do think that to be in the spirit of this candor, as we grow this department, I think we need to look at wildlands protection. LA County is used to the fact that they have a very heavy wildlands protection component to their department. And LA City has been urban search and rescue and urban firefighting forever, with some specialized units like down here in the harbor and at the airport, of course. But I think that we probably need to up our game on wildlands, because as we get hotter and drier again, we just learned that wildlands don't have to be on the edge of the city. It can be in the middle of the city. It could be Peck Park Canyon. So I think we need to get better there. I also think we have let ourselves down with maintenance of our rigs and our equipment. I took a tour of the maintenance yard, and the chief is not kidding when she says there's 100 units there. Now, a whole bunch of those units are never going to be back on the street because some of them are burnt out or crashed or whatever. But there are dozens that if we had the personnel to maintain them, they would be available. That is not to say that we would have had the personnel to deploy them, and that is not to say that would have made any difference in this fire. But why take that chance, right?
John?
Yeah. Buonasera.
Buonasera.
Tim, this is not within the fire. I know you started doing some work with the alleys and stuff because of the garbage trucks. So Adrian and I last weekend, we went out and got about 5 or 6 alleys that really could use it here in a couple in the Northwest. And where would you like the photos and the information?
I would normally say get them to Drew, but Drew is going to be. I'm sure she wouldn't mind saying she's going to be. She had an automobile accident and she's fine, but she's going to be on halftime duty for the next few weeks. And I think get them to Erica because that motion is still pending, and I think it's the ideal time in our run for the budget right now to be making the argument that part of the sanitation fee should be going into alley repair.
Okay, thank you.
Pat, I see your hand. I have it listed, but we do have a speaker card as a stakeholder. Gwen?
Well, with the Peck Park brush clearances, and I'm actually going to speak as a neighborhood council person. I spoke with Deanne Denman for 2 years, asking that the schedule of brush clearance within this canyon be accelerated to when it's dry and not to a July 1st clearance, which is just before supposed fireworks season. And it did not get fulfilled until, of course, there was that brush fire, which did initiate, of course, a group of people here who are now trying to reestablish the native plants here, which is part of a proactive method to be able to make this a hardy park that will not be so prone to fire.
Right, that's right.
Now, I worked for a period of time with the Angeles National Forests, with the Dalton Hotshots and the fire management team. And they have been saying for a long time that our fire season is now going to be year-round. And they have been frustrated with the lack of resources for the scientific end of this. And this is where I'm going to ask for your help as a stakeholder, but also as a Community Forestry Advisory Committee member and as a member of this board right here, that the Community Forestry Advisory Committee, and there are other organizations throughout the City of Los Angeles that really want a standard bearer to bring back up the ideas of climate change, the goals and the missions that the City of Los Angeles had and really developed, and bring them back to Karen Bass and bring this back to the forefront. I think now more than ever, we need to, as a city, continue with those climate goals. The Community Forestry Advisory Committee very much wants you to speak with the Department of Biodiversity Chair, Mosto Jerry. And there are other organizations that want you to do this because the standard bearers have left, they termed out. Someone needs to be able to bring up some of the motions and things like that.
Okay.
Now, so for example, there are things like making a motion that there be changes in the brush clearances of the open spaces. The connection in Recon Park, there's a lot of improvements that can be done. Maintenance and the staff recreation have a disconnect. We need somebody to be here 7 days a week. Maintenance should be here, and there should, if their times are changed, they don't know this. There's no information within these large parks. There's a lot of different things that can be improved upon. Public safety has a series of things that are collaborative with this. I'm hoping that you might take that meeting, and as well as, you know, there's a lot of things that can be given to you as motions that will benefit. You know, our urban forest does need that maintenance that you're talking about. Everything that you're talking about is very much part of this.
I would love to take that meeting.
Yeah.
Eric, I'll make sure that my scheduler knows to take it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Kelly, hang on. I'm going to get this question from the audience, and then you.
Okay. Question.
So, Pat, I got your hand, and Lori.
Can you hear about what the Phillips 66 is there there? Those also include the
I've had thank you. On Phillips 66, I know you had an item that didn't move forward, probably because they didn't show. I've met with Phillips 66 a couple of times, and my staff has met with them a couple of times more. We are in the early discussions of me telling them what I don't want to see, and I am looking for a couple of things. One is I've spent a lot of time talking about making sure that we're looking out for those jobs. So we have the whole activity of the state, the county, and the city, economic development and job retraining, getting involved with them. And I know that's probably not the focus, although I'm sure you care about that. That's not the focus of your question. Your question gets more to the land use. I am looking for, a positive cleanup, obviously, and a very positive land use interaction with the surrounding properties. I'm looking for opportunities for retail and visitor serving that benefits Wilmington and San Pedro. I want to make sure that I'm pressing them on that, but we're very, very early in those discussions. As far as the marine terminal, I do not believe that they have any intention of walking away from the marine terminal, so I think that'll be something they continue to pursue. My expectation would be import of finished product.
Okay.
That'd be up to them, but that would be my expectation. I don't think they would be bringing crude to another refinery, but that's something for us to investigate.
Lori?
Can I see from here? Or do you need
No, you need to go up there. I was having a hard time hearing.
I get to be closer to you. That's okay. So I had two questions. One, I live in Coastal now, and several times in the last week I've seen the fireworks from my bedroom window. It's hard to pinpoint. I didn't really want to get up at midnight and go drive where they are, but people were posting about it. Now, down in Coastal, they've started sort of I'm going to use the word posse, and they're going to go out in the evenings. They started, I think, last night, meeting at 11 and driving the area. I'm just wondering if they're in touch with your office, and I'm concerned. I'm glad people want to watch out, but I worry about vigilante behavior. So that's one question. What do we know about that? And the other thing is, you talk about a lot of prevention with wildlife and stuff. What is going to happen when we finally get our rain? Are we going to have incredible flooding now?
Going to the second one first, I think the risk of flooding is going to be dependent upon whether or not we have our storm drains cleared, and I have a commitment to make sure that we're being proactive about storm drains. And there's a couple of areas in the district, actually outside of San Pedro, where we have some equipment that pumps water out of streets. One's in low-lying areas in Harbor City. So we have that on our calendar to make sure we're doing that work. I'm actually, with the fires, I'm more worried about landslides and land movement and mudslides. And for that, I brought it up to the EOC, and we need to put together plans for how we are going to use artificial materials initially, because our plants won't take that fast, like netting and break walls to protect properties from land movement or landslides. As far as the fireworks, a big challenge. I'm constantly on my phone in the middle of the night asking for a car to go out to this place or that place, because I not only hear it, sometimes I hear it, but I also get pinged by folks in district about fireworks, and it's a tough problem. I am aware of the groups that are going out and walking the Point Furman area and the park, and I just had a conversation with a constituent about this today. Think about National Night Out. The whole idea of National Night Out is that we all go out and we kind of sort of are doing safe and happy activities in the street, and that prevents activities from being unsafe and unhappy, and that's done in conjunction with public safety, right? There's this fine line between what is a posse or a vigilante and what is cooperative community-based policing. And so I really do encourage folks, hey, let's let the SLOs know. And, obviously that's another issue. I want to make sure that they feel like they should be with us. But I do know about it. And I'm not, at this moment, concerned. I'm concerned about the issue that you raise. But I myself have walked Bites Point in the last couple of weeks with a flashlight in the middle of the night just to see what it's like out there. And I feel like that makes it safe a little bit. And I'm okay with folks doing it together, but I wanted to be in the spirit of we are engaging in an activity that is part of our public safety. And we're not doing it in a spirit of, anger or fear. We're doing it in a spirit of cooperation with one another. And those are really two different things. And I am eternally optimistic about the goodness of the people, especially in this community, that we just want to be in our public spaces. We want to make sure they're safe. So my goal this year is to sort of increase the level of community-based public safety that our SLOs and our Harbor Division engages in, and our Southeast Division, when I talk about Watts, to make sure that we're working together, to make sure folks feel like their police agencies are listening to them, and police officers to realize that to further embrace the idea that let's do stuff together so that we make our public areas safe, because there's no reason to take the public out of public safety. Absolutely no reason. In fact, it is a mistake to take the public out of public safety.
We have a couple more people who have wanted to express themselves. Diane, I do have yours. You'll be the last one, and I have Adrienne. I'm going to Kelly first before I go to you guys. I'm taking them in the order that I get them. So Kelly, then Adrienne, then Diana, and then I'll make a last statement.
Kelly, then Adrienne, then Diana.
Quick question. Do you know anything about having, if there's ways we can get our reservoirs filled so that we do have more, access to water for fires and stuff, the different reservoirs that we have that are empty right now?
I never make stuff up. I never shoot from the hip, so I'm not going to start with you now. I don't
appreciate
know.
that.
Yeah, I don't know, but I do know that I've been thinking a lot about how we react to this. Immediately after finishing with these fires, I see a couple of things happening. One is I want to double down on fire hydrant checks. Every fire station, pretty regularly, very regularly, I know I used to do it with my dad when I was a kid, has an obligation to go around its area and check fire hydrants. I couldn't tell you because I don't know what they do day in and day out. I'm not following them around. I want to know what's the status of our hydrants and what's the go forward on checking all of our hydrants. I have every confidence that our fire department's doing that in the harbor area, but I want to make sure. I also, if there is a problem with water pressure, I want to know why. If there's not a problem with water pressure, great. But if there was a problem, I'll want to know why and what's the correction to that. If reservoirs are part of that, great. That's the path we'll go down. That's the complete honest answer. The other thing I want to do, by the way, is I want each of in our 1-5, I want each of our 5 communities to have a very fulsome town hall on our emergency preparedness plans, community by community, and our evacuation plans. We actually did it in Harbor City early last year. It was great. It was amazing to know what all of the contingency plans that existed. Not very many people from the public showed up. My guess is when we do this round, a lot of people are going to show up. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's that? There was no parking. Okay, we'll have lots and lots of parking. That's true. Harbor Rec Center does not have very good parking. That's true. We need more of that.
Adrienne,
and then Diana.
And Diana.
I just wanted to talk about the park rangers, right? I work at Anderson Senior Center, Anderson Park. I got a lot of people asking me about safety concerns. One thing I wanted to talk about.
Could you speak up a little bit?
I'm sorry. Can everybody hear me?
Barely.
Okay. So I just want to talk about actually getting them. I know I've heard about talking from a stakeholder side on calling in. I want to talk from like a rec assistant, right? So, for example, homelessness, right? I call Circle, I go through the whole 45 minutes. I call Drew, right? 10 minutes, right? How can we be able to, get the services we need, like park rangers, Circle, all those, so at least stakeholders don't have to go through that, but at least the employees can get through that.
I understand your question. Say it to Mike. So you call Drew and it's 10 minutes, it's fast?
Yeah, it's faster.
Call Circle and it
takes longer. Yeah.
Takes longer?
Yeah.
And you're where you call park rangers?
Yeah, just any types of those services, yeah.
Okay, so I'm glad to hear that you call Drew and it happens fast. Circle is one resource that is, I know they're working hard because we call them all the time. They're running all over the place. The way I can make Circle respond more quickly is to have more Circle. I need to use the budget opportunities to reallocate. It won't be new money. Reallocate money within our very important homeless outreach and response for people experiencing homelessness to mental health, and our way of doing that at the city level is programs like Circle. As far as being able to get the park rangers who are now redeployed or deployed again at at Malloy Park, we're going to have that conversation directly with the chief himself. And he told me tonight, he will come to this meeting, he'll come to any community meeting that I host, because I think he's eager to have his resources back into the Pacific region. So we'll have that conversation. Thanks.
Diana?
And thank you for being here. This was, I think, a very important time for you to be here. There is just so much, just tremendous the amount of impact I think this is going to have on Los Angeles. And one of the areas of impact I think is going to be our city budget. And I think it's too soon to say a whole lot about that, but you may have some comments and thoughts about it. And part of the piece I was thinking of as I was sitting here was all of these people who've lost their homes and property taxes.
Yeah.
And is the city going to reevaluate their property taxes, give them some kind of relief in their property taxes? And of course, that's lost revenue to the city. And then the other piece was, what kind of reserves does the city have now? Because at one point, our reserves got pretty thin. Thanks.
I'll begin with the toughest part, the tail end of it. Our reserves are incredibly low. In fact, our reserves are dangerously low. We're at the point now, to dip into our reserves requires a supermajority vote of the City Council. And our reserves are low because our costs before this were up and our revenues were surprisingly down. And the biggest down areas were in transient occupancy tax, in documentary transfer tax, and in sales taxes, because the economy just wasn't coming back as expected. Property taxes were pretty strong because property is expensive. But for the Palisades area, which directly affects the city of LA, the assessor has already announced that folks will have a delay on their property tax, and he is deploying forces to reassess properties. So we will see a dip in property taxes for that area, which is a significantly large area, but it's not all of Los Angeles. And our property taxes, we get about 25 cents on every dollar of property tax. So we will see a hit there. We'll see a hit there. And one of the things that we're going to have to do is, and I've kicked it off in my personnel committee, in as much as it pertains to personnel, is do just a budget reduction evaluation and see where we can reduce our costs. And also, frankly, I'm going to look at places where we can increase our revenue. One area to increase our revenue is going to be transient occupancy tax. You will see from me sometime in the next year, I'll be proposing that we go to the ballot to increase hotel taxes to get ready for the big events that we're having, the Olympics and the other big events. So that is a long way of saying that our budget is tough. We will see an impact, but I'm not whistling, past the grave here. I'm making sure that I'm very clear-eyed about what we need to do. I am on the budget committee, I'm on the personnel committee, and I'm on the public safety committee. And I think those are the areas that are going to be most critical to how we spend our budget dollars and how we make our budget balance. Oh, I will also say that the feds, this administration, has committed significant money, and the governor has committed significant money to get us through this immediate crisis. And FEMA is on the ground now. So I have an expectation today that we're going to see a significant infusion of federal and state money into our city, although I don't know if that is going to hold through the next administration.
Yeah.
One more, and I promise we'll let you go.
I won't hold you to that promise, whatever you want.
I want to go back to the issue of Phillips 66.
Yep.
And we had people here from the Carpenters Union.
Yep.
Concerned.
I talked to them in the outside.
Great. I want to hopefully get your support in asking Phillips 66 to not close this facility down without participation of the community. It has worked, I think, very well with the Vincent Thomas Bridge, with their community advisory committee, so that they know that they have community members who are interested in the project. And I would like to hopefully be able to ask and get your support in establishing a community advisory committee so that as they shut down Phillips 66 and Wilmington, San Pedro, and also I would imagine a certain part of Harbor City.
For sure, yeah.
That will, we have a place at the table, so we're well aware of what's going on as they close. When I was at the community advisory group that they have meeting quarterly, they just kind of dashed over it, and it kind of made it sound to the community that it was going to be a clean, smooth operation and not much to worry about. Well, I think we're probably more aware that things like that just don't happen, especially with a facility as big as it is and what they're doing. So I posed it to them. I asked our people from the Carpenters Union if they would support a Phillips establishing, and it's not them establishing the group, but establishing the group with the community so that as a partnership we come together and we're kind of working together as this facility shuts down. I think it's really important, and I think it's going to not be as easy as they're trying to make it sound. So I hope we can get your support on that.
I know we have a follow-up, but I will say, is this a follow-up to that?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry, you're the chair. But I will respond.
Okay. Going quickly, please.
So with that, of course, we probably need you're communicating with our federal representatives, Nanette Barragan, Ted Lieu,
yes,
others, will probably be very important in discussing with Phillips 66 the closure and the cleanup, the mitigations, the cleanup of the site, and the reemployment, the training. I'm hoping that there will be a real collaboration.
Yeah, I'm committed to collaborating with everybody, but I will say that at the very heart of what Phillips 66 needs to do is to be able to repurpose their property for some value, and that is a local issue. And you have my commitment, you have my absolute commitment that we will establish a Wilmington, San Pedro, Harbor City Community Advisory Group that Phillips will have to work with, or they won't be able to restripe their parking lot.
Terrific, thank you.
That'd be good.
And I think Chris had something to do.
And
Thank you.
And just on that, because Octaviano mentioned the city's EOD resources, I reached out to Jennifer from Supervisor Hahn's office, and she said that Andy Perez is their labor and economic development deputy, and I was thinking if there could be some, just because of the sheer number of people affected, maybe some city-county collaboration, possibly an event or some ongoing support might be in order.
Yeah, we have a great, done. Supervisor and I have talked about this. We have a real commitment to make sure that we're working on the upskilling, reskilling, working with all the employees. And I will say Phillips 66 has, not to get in their heads too much, they have every reason to have a full workforce up until the very last day that they turn off the last valve. But again, they will have to work with us now to make sure that they're not leaving anybody high and dry, and they have the underlying property that they're going to have to work with us on, and the land use responsibility is ours. It belongs to the city of Los Angeles.
Great, thank you. With that, okay, this will be the absolute last comment because
you told me that once before.
I know.
But our council member very kindly expected more. So, my question has to do with, and first I want to start by commending your reaching out to state and to county and other areas. If we were to think about I don't want to mention it, but if there was a need to evacuate this area, in light of a bridge closure, which is the last time we saw a lot of you, in terms of the evacuation, hopefully this will be an opportunity to get better cooperation than I think we've been having, and I think even your office has had with state officials on things that are very important. Because just imagine, had it been during a bridge closure with construction on Western, we've seen with the traffic, you call it Armageddon, and it would be an absolute Armageddon, I think, for the people here. So just in terms of thinking about if embers were to spread, here, in terms of getting the word out, the evacuation plan, I want to commend, and I saw several on this council commend the need for us to do emergency management meetings so the community knows exactly what to do when things happen. So just wanted to comment anything on that, specifically with if there's a need to evacuate, how that will be communicated, how we can be helpful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Tim, if I can be so...
Yes, please do.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. We really appreciate the updates. We appreciate your connection to the community. That's really important. And I think it keeps us informed. And we know that we have a good spokesperson at City Hall with you there.
Well, thanks. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's move on. We're through with number 5. We had done 6 before, so now we're going to go to our motions, and that puts us with the Budget and Finance, and then we have a motion from the Executive Committee. So, Melanie.
Okay. On page 11, this is out of committee. So this is approval of the December 2024 monthly expenditure report. Any discussion? Okay, so going to call for the vote. John Barbera.
Yes.
Dick Christensen.
Aye.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Cynthia.
Yes.
Gwen. Oh, wait, Gwen can't. Melanie, yes. Kelly.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Angela. Chris.
Yes.
Okay, that's it. That. Next item is on page 12. And that is the budget. So that is... So on this, it's out of committee. We have $27,790.93 left. In unallocated, we have right now $5,610.53. So any discussion? Okay, so call for the vote. John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen.
Aye.
Ray.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Cynthia.
Yes.
Melanie. Yes. Kelly.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Angela. Chris.
Yes.
Okay. That's that. Next is a motion to use the allocated funds for the newsletter that are allocated for $4,900 for printing and mailing of election newsletter. This is out of committee. Any discussion? John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen.
Aye.
Ray.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Cynthia.
Yes.
Melanie, yes. Kelly.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Angela. Chris.
Yes.
Okay, that's that. Now, the next final one is page 13. So this is for our MPG. It's going to start like right away. It's going to be open. We've got $6,000 for our MPG grant program. We fine-tuned the criteria a little bit because there's a lot of confusion last time along when you go just based on what the city clerk has, because it would come back from them, oh, we can't pay for this, and we can't pay for this. We can't pay for fees for this or that. So we made it clear on our application that on the cover page for application for Northwest that this must be a project that is a 501c3 organization or public school is working on or planning. We cannot award grants for field fees, coaching fees, or leasing fees, payment of employment or wages, or compensation of any kind to an individual. This Neighborhood Purpose Grants program's purpose is to benefit the area within the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council boundaries. And we made it clear. So that way there won't be any confusion when applications come in that we are not awarding them or why we aren't awarding any type of grant to them. So this is out of committee. Any further discussion on it? Okay, call for the vote. John?
Yeah.
Vic?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Cynthia?
Yes.
Melanie, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Angela? And Chris?
Yes.
Okay. We are. Huh? I can't hear you.
Can one vote on this one?
If it's not financial, she can vote, but she can't vote on this because this is. Huh?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there is. It comes out of budget and finance. Yeah, she can't vote.
Okay. We'll move on to motion out of the executive committee. Now, this is a discussion and possible action regarding combining planning and land use with the port committees and reestablishing the sustainability and environment committee as a standalone committee at this time. There are a lot of overlapping items here between the port and planning and land use, especially with the all the different types of issues that are coming up, and how much the fact that the port is, we talk a lot about the various land usage that we find ourselves in with it. So we are going to looking to combine the two so that they can be more efficient and look at all the different items under that. With that said, that would put the Environment and Sustainability Committee as a standalone at this particular time. So this came out of committee. Can we take any discussion?
Well, I would move for discussion.
Out of the executive committee. We talked about it. So go ahead, Gwen.
Do you not need a motion?
Yes.
Yes. I move that we consider and discuss.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll second.
Second? Thomas?
Second.
Okay. And so discussion. Go ahead.
All right. Well, just wanted the group and the community to know that both of the co-chairs of the current committee are fully in support of making this move. We think it'll be more efficient, better use of our skill sets, and better serve the community.
Gwen?
With that, I would invite some of the candidates and the new members to consider the Environment and Sustainability Committee as one of your committee choices. As you can see with the fires, there's a lot of things that are going to be happening with this. There is a consideration to join forces with the other environmental committees. There is a movement to have a joint committee, but at the moment we will continue to meet at the time that the Port Environment and Sustainability Committee meets. So that would be still the date unless otherwise relocated. But there everything from Rec and Park, trees, climate change, you name it. And there will be some collaboration with public safety because many of these things are environmentally
very much connected to things that our fire department does and a lot of other groups. So, yeah, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Okay. Call for the vote.
John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Cynthia Gagne.
Yes.
Gwen Henry.
Aye.
Alonzo Jenkins.
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq.
Yes.
Kelly Muller.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael Signorella.
Yes.
Angela Sumner. Chris Faye.
Yes.
Okay, it's unanimous with 12.
All right. That takes care of all the motions. Move on with the president's meeting with the port. Thomas?
No report.
No report.
No meeting, no report. No, I wasn't
There you go.
lazy.
Thank you. Okay, committee reports. Cynthia, you indicated you may have to leave?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
Thank you for being here tonight. 8:10, we can show Cynthia leaving. Committee reports. Executive committee, just wanted to let you all know that we are moving forward in filling up any of our vacancies. I'd like to have Lori say a few words about that.
Hello again. Because you have 3 vacant seats, I created a Google application form that I'm just proofing and testing so that we can announce right away. I think Chris already actually started announcing it. So you have 3 vacant seats. You have the Averill area, the business seat, and the non-governmental seat, so that we could have somebody fill each of those now. We don't go another 5 months with those vacant seats. So once I have this available, I'll publish this, and it'll be a very easy way to manage it, having them submit online. If the candidates that apply have already are already in our election, then they've already been certified. They have turned in the documents necessary. We wouldn't have to go through that process. And the goal is hopefully to seat some people in February. Any questions on that? Okay, thank you.
Question? Okay, great. Thank you. Bylaws on elections, let's just say that we have come to a point that we now have as many people who are going to be looking for positions in our new year for our elections for Northwest San Pedro. We still have a challenge in the Averill community. We need people there to fill the vacancy that we have. So I'm going to ask everyone around the table, and even those people here that have attended, if you know someone in that particular area, please let them know that we could certainly use representation in that community. We need someone who can represent that community. But at this particular point, it'll be we'll be selecting that person now that we're back. We're kind of close for candidates, but we can still use people to come in and we can fill it otherwise. So now is the important part. People, don't forget, you have to sign up to get your your ballots. So do that. Go out there and navigate your community so that they vote for our candidates that are there. And we will make sure that, and on our next newsletter, you will see who the candidates are and be ready to vote. Lori, I saw your hand up. You want to add?
I do. So not only will the newsletter, which is going to print today, and it'll be out as soon as we can get the check from the city clerk to pay the postage, but there's an article that explains how people can request the ballot. This is the first time we've had a by mail only election, and it certainly presents us a challenge. So especially you candidates are running, you're going to take this process to everybody, because if they don't order their ballot during those dates, they won't be able to vote. Once they get the ballot mailed to them, it's got postage paid, and they can do that. So, but anyway, there's an article in there that tells them how to get the ballot, and we're putting this information on the website. Actually, I think that's already on the website. Cheryl took care of that this week, and we'll put it on social media. But it's really important to request the ballot. It's highly unusual that we're doing it this way, and we'll do everything we can to promote that. Okay.
All right. I think I saw Adrian's hand and then Gwen.
I'm just wondering, I don't know, this may be a done question. Like QR codes, right? Like links, website, anything just making it more, just mailing stuff out. I think it takes a big hit when you have to go through that whole process of trying to get a ballot. So just any sort of way making it easier. Like QR codes, or I think meaning right, talking about like hangers, just put on people's doors.
That's actually.
Yeah.
Gwen.
Well, actually, that's what my comment was going to be. We do have door hangers that we've been provided. There does need to be some kind of stamp and information for our own neighborhood council, but I would urge everyone on the board to distribute some within your community, even if it's just a block when you walk somewhere. And that would be really great. All of the candidates to also take some of the door hangers. When you do go to Done and you go to your own candidate page, there's going to be ideas on how you can campaign. And usually if you take those flyers around, you can also take the door hangers for the voting, where you can promote that as well. But that's going to be a major push by our board as well to get that message out, as well as join committees. We really want to have a lot of activity and a lot of engagement, and that would be really great for each candidate to do too. Get others in the community involved. That would be awesome.
Thank you. Any other comments? No? Okay, we'll move on. I want to push up planning and land use up to and let them give their report.
Thank you, and good evening. It's been a while since you've seen me, like 4 months, I think. So I wanted to take a little bit of time to update you on some of the things that have happened during that time and some of the things that are kind of upcoming for us this next year in the Planning and Land Use Committee. And I also want to thank you for the action tonight of joining the Planning and the Port Committee together, because I think that will make us stronger going forward and will help with a number of issues. Perhaps the biggest news for our area is that the port has finally selected a contractor to complete the North Gappy Greenbelt and the pathway, and the work is about to begin. You may see something happening pretty soon, I'm told. This was a project that was initiated by this neighborhood council in 2003. It's now 2025, for the use of the China Shipping Mitigation Funds. The first portion of that project was the portion from Westmont to Gatun, which was finished a number of years ago, along with the planting of some trees that are in the area just north of Channel along Harbor Boulevard. This portion will extend that pathway to connect from Gatun in behind where the railroad tracks are. It'll come out through the park and ride lot to connect on Channel to Pacific, to connect with the rest of the pathway, so that you'll have a complete pathway all the way from Westmont all the way down to West Harbor when it's completed. So it's taken a long time, but it's going to happen. It's taken many phone calls to the port. Next thing I want to talk about was the housing element, which I've talked to you about a lot of times over the last 2 years. The housing element of the general plan. This is the state required update that would allow for over 700 additional housing units in Los Angeles beyond what the current zoning already allowed for. So the plan has been adopted by the City Council, and they are now creating the ordinances that are required, and they expect to adopt those ordinances by February, which is when they're due to the state. For the most part, the plan does not impact single-family neighborhoods. Rather, the development opportunities are primarily along transit corridors and in multifamily neighborhoods. It also makes it easier to build affordable housing. The biggest impact on San Pedro is probably the upzoning that would occur along Western Avenue by both the City of LA and by Rancho Palos Verdes, which could add to the traffic challenges on Western. The County of Los Angeles has also upzoned, or is in the process of upzoning the La Rambla area, which a lot of that is really in the middle of Northwest. There's a monthly meeting of planning from across the neighborhood councils across the city. So the meeting this Saturday, there was a lot of discussion about the fires and what's the impact going to be on planning and land use issues. And there were a lot of issues being raised, and I think that we're going to see some real impacts. I mean, so we're supposed to be building all these additional required units, but we're going to have to rebuild all these other units. And what's the impact going to be on the cost of construction, on the availability of construction? So there's a whole lot of impacts, and I think we're going to see a lot of discussion about that, and maybe even some requests to the state. I've already seen it looks like they're going to waive the CEQA requirements for new building, for example. So that's that issue. Next thing I wanted to mention was Rancho San Pedro. The hearing for the specific plan about how that's going to be redeveloped was held in September. That now needs to go to the Planning Commission and the City Council. This is a plan that would dramatically change that portion of Harbor Boulevard, nearly tripling the number of units and adding commercial and significant green space over the next 15 to 20 years. They hope to have all their approvals by March. In the meantime, they are breaking ground on 47 units on North Harbor Boulevard. These are the units that will be used to house people as the redevelopment occurs, so that people will stay right within their community. They'll have to move out of their units, but they'll move right there just a couple blocks away as new units are being built. They were actually supposed to break ground Thursday, but because of the fires, that ceremony got canceled. The proposed development across from City Hall, where the Green Onion is, that changed hands. Trammell Crow bought it. They're the ones that just developed that project on Harbor Boulevard, BO, they're calling it. And these changes were recently presented to approved by our Area Planning Commission. So they're going to be presenting to the Joint Planning Committee meeting in February. PAIP, the recommendations are still under development by the Port and the Council Office. I'm looking at Erica, she may have something to add. We are expecting the recommendations out soon, at which time we will have the opportunity to review and comment on them. This will most likely be a major topic at the February Planning and Land Use Committee meeting, along with the presentation from Trammell Crow. At the last Planning Committee meeting, which I was not able to attend, the Nader family discussed an initial proposal to build 32 units on the property they own. They're the Gaffey and 47 off-ramp. Their property includes the old Nader store that's there, but also there's some houses behind it, and I'm not sure how far back that goes. But they're really early in their planning, and I've heard that as a result of the reactions they received at the Joint Committee, they're now thinking about maybe scaling it down a bit. stay tuned. This will be another issue we'll be looking at this year. The DFSP, and again, Erica, if you know anything I don't say, you can add it. But I did check with Nanette Berrigan's office to get an update on what's happening with that. As you've probably already heard, the Navy's negotiating with the City of LA and Lomita to take care of the ball fields issue. But for the major part of the property, they're still negotiating with a potential leasee. They've been negotiating for the last 2 years. Evidently, they are no longer looking at any type of fuel operations there at all. They're looking at something that relates to transshipping, something related to trucks. They're not quite sure. It's under discussion. It will probably need a new environmental impact report. There will be times to weigh in on that. Not sure that the trucking users are things that are going to be compatible with this community. Not sure where the council office is going to stand on this, so we may want. I almost asked him about it, but I thought, well, he's got enough other things on his mind right now. But this is another thing to stay tuned, because we will be probably having some things to work on that this next year. And the last thing I wanted to mention was the UCLA South Bay, the former Marymount College campus, as well as the housing, which is in our neighborhood council area there along PV Drive. They're actually going to come to the joint committee this month, January 22nd, to discuss their plans. So that's a quick update on some of the things that have been going on in planning. Any questions? Melanie?
Melanie and then John.
Two things. Do you have any idea what is going in next to the storage unit at Home Depot? People keep asking me what else they're building. If there's storage unit that they're building next by Home Depot, but then they're clearing land or doing something next to it.
You're talking about the storage unit that's going on North Gaffey?
The one next to Home Depot, the storage.
Yes, that's a storage facility. That's
but
all
the
that's
land
going.
next to it that looks like they're doing something to it too.
I think that's military.
I think you're talking about the military property next to it.
Oh, okay.
And what's going on there is remediation. And that remediation, because of the leakages in those tanks, they've been doing remediation. That remediation is going to take another 2 years, they estimate, to be finished.
Oh, okay. Alrighty, because people keep asking me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's...
The other thing is, I just received a letter in the mail today from Target. About Target from the liquor people, Department of Liquor in Lawndale, that they've requested that they sell wine, beer, and liquor, hard booze, and they want to serve it until 12 a.m. They're extending their hours.
At Target?
Huh?
At Target?
At Target.
I had not heard that.
Nope, I got the letter and I meant to bring it and I left it, but I'll scan it and send it to you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have a hearing date on it or anything. It just has that they've received this from them, a request.
Maybe one.
But
Yeah, because we should be getting an official notice of that as Northwest.
But they aren't living up to the requests that you put in before, so how can they extend it and add hard liquor?
I think they'd have to go back to the city for a formal hearing. And so please watch, Victor, if you'd please watch for any notification from the city. It did not show up on the early notification list. And
That's interesting.
Yeah, which we normally get. I just got one like 2 days ago. It comes out every 2 weeks.
Have some woman to call if you have any questions down at the bottom of the letter.
Yeah, send me a copy.
Okay. Huh? To you too? Okay, I will.
John?
Diane, it's good to see you back after the whirlwind tour you did. You said that they're going to start from Gatun on to
It'll go
Channel.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to go underneath, it's going to go behind Big Nick's and all of that.
Yes.
Okay, we have a question with this one. They've been trying to get the parking lot repaved and all of that because it's so bad.
I think so.
Will they be part of it?
I'll see if Erica knows more than I do. You know, they've changed so many times what they were going to actually do in there. I need to double check that, John.
Okay.
But go ahead. What was the rest of your question?
Yeah, no, that was it. We've been talking about that with the skate park people, and it's just too much, and nobody wants to come up and do it and work on it. And they were talking about doing it themselves, trying to raise money. But I knew this project was coming up, and so.
Erica, do you happen to know? I don't. Yeah, because that was Caltrans property, and then I think it got transferred to the city, and it's not
also,
port property in there.
No, it's not. It's actually, they gave it to the Skate Park Association. They do have part of it, but
yeah, and then
they were
the part that this will affect is just along the fence line, I believe. So we need to follow up on what's going to happen to the parking lot itself.
Yeah.
Good point.
Okay.
April, do you have a comment about that?
Yes. Hi, I'm April. I'm a board member of the Stakeholder Skate Park.
Right. Can you come up to the?
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi,
Thank you.
April.
Hi. We just had a meeting with the Port of LA last week on Zoom about the parking lot, especially since the skateboarder has experienced an almost 8-year closure. The development is going directly through and right up against the skate park, so we're going to lose the parking lot. We're concerned about access to the skate park, and they confirmed that it will not be repaved. We've spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars kind of patching it ourselves, and it is liability, huge liability with the potholes. So we're doing what we can to give these kids a safe space, but the potholes are a liability.
Yeah, well, and to hear that, because this part was only taking just a little piece of it against the other fence. So unless plans changed, that's news to me. Of all the times we've met with them, I mean, a lot, and the plans that I've seen don't do that. So I'm not quite sure. But the parking lot is a real issue. And so I think the council office, raising it with the council office is probably the best next step.
They're going to restage everything in the parking lot.
When you have something up on this subject,
Yeah, it's kind of on this subject.
Is different subject?
No, it's this subject.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Actually, and Melanie may be able to give a little more input on it, but Tim's office should know about this. So that whole little area, including the rail spur going to Rancho LPG, all of that is very problematic for the Department of Sanitation. That is also a problem for fires and things like that. Security-wise, it's also difficult for, what's it called, Blackstone? The organization up on the hill.
Oh, what?
Blackstone?
BlackRock?
BlackRock, thank you. All those different jurisdictions, there's a lot of break-ins, there's a lot of trespassing through there. There doesn't seem to be very much security for the Department of Sanitation, and I hope that continues to be looked at, the parameters around there, especially that area. There was even, a fire kind of in that little triangle between Big Nick's and the skate park and everything, and there's been several fires. So hopefully there can be some kind of resolution to all of that. It's a very difficult, struggling area. The homeless still homeless encampments or unhoused, still kind of congregate around a tunnel that, they keep cleaning it up. I hope that there is a continued look at that over on the harbor station side. Yeah, thank you.
Vic?
This is more directed at Erica and the councilman's office, but it has to do with something that Diana asked me to do, as watch for any notification that comes in the mail. I don't know if you've ever been down to the mailroom on the first floor or second floor, whatever that official number is, where the guard desk is. There are stacks of mail there that have been there for I would say, and I don't think I'm exaggerating, years, including some for your office, some for addressed to Buscaino, some addressed to the mayor, some addressed to San Pedro Historical Society, and a bunch of different people that are just there and they just put it out on the desk. Nobody ever comes and picks it up that I can tell because it all looks the same. I go through it all the time and I just make one big stack. Even our mail for the council rarely gets put in our mailbox. I don't know if you can stop, do anything about that, but it's mostly on the table. So when it comes to looking for something that you're expecting, it could be very difficult to find it because who knows where it got put. And I think there's even something addressed to a Mike Oscar, which I'm guessing is probably Tim. But I don't know. But if you have any way of getting people in the building to go get their mail, including your office, because there's stuff for you down there too. Most of it is for other people, but there are a few things that end up for the councilman. That would be very helpful because it's basically a pile of trash right now because it's so old. So I don't know if that's something you can do or if that's somebody else that has to take care of that. But okay, thank you.
Let us know who that Mike Oscar is too.
I think that's it.
I'm really curious if that's who it was supposed to be.
Thank you, Diana. So, Budget and Finance Committee?
Just want to say that...
And if I can just say, we're over time,
Yeah,
so
I'll
can
zoom.
we make them quick?
I'll zoom. So Budget and Finance, real quick. At the April Budget and Finance meeting, we will be going over the grant applications that we received at that time and sorting through them and prioritizing them, and do like we did before, have a little committee and do it on the table and everybody vote and go through them and pick the ones, because we only have $6,000, so we can't give to everybody. So we'll do a vote and prioritize the ones that are the best and all that and select. So what I'm saying is, as a committee, we do that for Budget and Finance, but I always invite other people to come if they want to be part of that, to go through it and be part of that little committee that's going through the MPGs. So you're more than welcome to keep your eyes open for the April Budget and Finance meeting. Usually we're on Zoom, but we'll be here for it in person at the April meeting because we have to be in person to go through them. Public Safety, can I just move into that? Public Safety Committee, there was no CPAD meeting. We were dark last month. But for Public Safety, at the Public Safety meeting on the 23rd, I am, with Chris, we're going to compile a CIS, a council file, that will be like a draft for everybody to look at and get agreement on, that we can bring to the board in February regarding the public access council file about the 100 yards access, for petitioning and all of that. So that's going to be posted for people to come, and that will be in person here on the 23rd of January. So I invite everybody to come and have input on that and have their voice heard, because it's really important because that motion that they did is about who has access and who doesn't for, write a petition and all of that. And it limits a lot of people, as well as it has a lot of enforcement in it. So I think we really need to think clearly about how we're weighing in on this.
Okay.
And that's it.
All right. Thank you. Youth and Outreach Committee?
We had a brief special meeting just to approve the budget for the newsletter, but that's it.
Thank you. Port Environmental Sustainability Committee?
Yeah, at our last meeting, we discussed the West Harbor project. Since that meeting, I was able to do a tour, as I know many community stakeholder members were, to see what's going on. I thought Ellen gave a very informative tour and learned a lot. something we're watching carefully is the RFP on the Outer Harbor Cruise Terminal. I just got invited today. I think this is, don't know how widely open this is, but there's going to be a meeting by SSA Marine, a leading port terminal operator, to bring together the San Pedro and harbor community stakeholders to continue engagement. So that meeting's Thursday, January 23rd from 2 to 3:30 at the San Pedro Chamber of Commerce boardroom. And then we also discussed the Gibson Boulevard truck parking lot, environmental documents. And I can take any questions, but those are the topics that are still going to be of concern in January.
Comments, questions? Seeing none. Thank you, Thomas. Community issues?
No, I was busy wrapping gifts. We canceled.
Okay. Christensen Science Center.
There are more chickens at the Science Center. Feed and Be Fed has brought some more in. However, there's more than just there's more chickens. And I'm not talking about the two-legged kind. They are, sometime in the future, there's no date set at this point. They would like to be able to bring in some goats and a donkey. Eventually, the donkey, the intent is to allow kids to come in and they'll give donkey rides. But first, they have to make the barnyard safe from predators like raccoons and coyotes. I haven't looked this up, but apparently donkeys have a natural enmity for coyotes. So if a coyote comes up toward a donkey, the donkey will attack, including to the point of, kicking with its back legs. So if the donkey is in the outdoor corral area, it may not be that much of a problem. But the inner area where that's fenced off, where the goats and the chickens would go, would need to be safed before they could put it in there. So they've got to get a plan together and money and stuff like that. But that may be something in the future. But for right now, there are chickens on site, and there are supposed to be more coming. That's all.
All right, great. Thank you.
The donkeys hate the coyotes because they don't want to be made an ass of themselves.
I knew that was coming.
You do?
Let me apologize up front.
I'm sorry I brought it up.
I have a question.
I think that brings us to the end of agenda item number 9.
I have a question.
Wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see the hand.
Vic, just real quick, have they addressed chickens and the problem with bird flu that's happening, if they've come up with a solution to that? Because
they have to be in a covered area where they can't get another bird.
I haven't asked the question, but the chickens are, I don't know the best way to say it, but I'll say specific to Feed and Be Fed. They're not ones that came from LAUSD. And they are kept in, not open areas, but the pens are screened off, not, so there's plenty of airflow and stuff. There are small enough openings where small birds could get through if that was an issue. So the answer is I don't know, but so far I haven't heard of anything happening to them. Doesn't mean it can't later, but I haven't asked the question.
And if they considering liability insurance for donkey rides?
That's in the future. That is something that I know at least one particular person in LAUSD will bring up. But yeah, there is that issue.
Okay.
All right. Now I think that brings us to the end of 9. Let's, in a group, liaison reports, animal shelter.
No, I noticed that you took Anna's name off, but mine's still
Yeah.
Are you?
Well, I mean, until we change, until we get someone else, until you recruit someone else.
She's out of state or something, isn't she?
What's that?
Isn't she out of the area where she can't do it?
She lives in Massachusetts. Well, right now she's on my bedroom floor.
Right. So I just took her off because if she's on the other side of the country, she can hardly be the.
I just mentioned that time-wise, it's a challenge for me right now. But I will see if I.
As soon as you have another name to put there.
Okay. Sorry to hear about she's on the bedroom floors.
Well, her bunk bed.
Okay.
Finish me.
Los Angeles DWP, nothing. Public Works, LA Film Liaison, Nancy's Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance. Gwen, anything?
Nothing at the moment.
And Data Liaison, Gwen, Vic, Chris?
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay. So guess what? That brings us up to our last really item. Any future agenda items or announcements? Yes, Lori.
I just want to highlight that almost everything you guys discussed tonight is going to be in this newsletter. We have the animal shelter adopting, volunteering, fostering. We have the Feed and Be Fed in the Vic Christensen Science Center. We have the planning and land use, all the items that she discussed. We have Philip 66. We have our being at the Day of Peace. There's all kinds of volunteer opportunities. So hopefully when that gets mailed, talk to people. Did they get the newsletter? We want to get some feedback from it. But I was just almost everything you talked about is in the newsletter, so I'm very excited about that. And Vincent Thomas Bridge too.
Thank you. Anything else? Anything? Okay. General public comment. Last call. I see no hands except the double hands up there. Next meeting, Monday, February 10th, 6 o'clock. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.
Yay.
Keep us up to date on the field, will you?
NWSPNC is